Hi there. So in today's video, we're going to be going over Sammy Obeid's type, basically his personality type, which includes his MBTI type and objective personality type. The disclaimer, as usual, is that there's no type accuracy guarantees. And yeah, we're going to cover a little bit about the previous episode, but then get right into reviewing some clips. And we'll head into the final guess and then preview the next episode. So yeah, let's get on with it. So previously we typed Bassem Youssef, who is another different type of comedian, and he was formerly a doctor, and yeah, he was typed as an ENFP. I'm gonna stick with that type for now. Yeah, I think it's pretty close to what his actual type is. I think he's doing a good job playing the NF role, and yeah. If there are going to be any revisions, I'm going to include them in the future videos of the people we've done so far. But yeah, so the person we're typing today is Sammy Obeid, and he is um, a mix between Palestinian and Lebanese origin. But yeah, he's a stand-up comedian, and he talks about different issues from politics to math and all kinds of stuff. And yeah, he's a super friendly guy. And for myself, having a number one social type, it's very cool to see my opposite. The number fours are a lot friendlier and they're better with the comedy and stuff. And you know, it's nice to see. I really love comedy because it helps you kind of like loosen up. Speaking of which, so when I'm trying to get a first impression of Sammy Obeid and kind of see what his type might be, I'm looking at people like Jerry Seinfeld and Chris D'Elia. There's certain facial patterns that you'll see in these types. So what I'm seeing is NI in his eyes, and I'm not sure where that is, but I would guess that he has it somewhere. But that's the first impression. Visual typing can only go so far. But yeah, let's get to know him through some interview clips. In the first clip, we're going to actually look at young Sammy, who is on the Conan O'Brien show, and Conan we know is a TENE ESTJ. But yeah, we'll get to see, apparently thinking over feeling. But just take a look at how his style of humor is, because everyone can be, a different kind of comedian.
All right, you guys good? So I'm Sammy. A little bit about me. I'm mixed. I'm a mix. My dad's a man, mom's a woman, so half man, half woman. So you know the stereotypes. I hate asking for directions, but I get lost all the time. I'm actually half Lebanese American. Thank you. Come on, ladies. Yeah, you know what they say about Lebanese guys. Nothing. Okay. All right. And then I'm half Palestinian, so I'm in the news all the time, kind of famous. Crazy, because I'm Palestinian, my roommate is Jewish, so we're always fighting over where his room starts and mine ends. So. He pays more rent, but I've been there longer. And we look the same. But I'm not really religious. I don't believe in heaven and hell because hot air rises, so it should be the other way around. And I believe that God is a woman, so I don't say amen. I say that's what she said, I'm an open-minded guy. I'm from San Francisco. I'm a big supporter of gay rights, just through my friend Kyle a coming out party. It was a surprise party, but someone had to tell him, Surprise, what, you're gay, bro. We knew it.
Yeah, so that's interesting because he's telling people things, right? And yeah, thinkers are always telling people things and sharing their opinions. But yeah, that's the style of humor. It's good to see some intuition there as well. Because yeah, it's very creative. But it seems like, let's keep watching a different clip, but it's nice to see young Sammy here. So as he gets older, he does talk about different issues like politics, and more math, and trying to change it up a little. But here is the media covering him, which is always interesting when people look to stand-up comedy for like, newsworthy things, and that's always strange.
Comedy has long been a way to bring a different, lighter lens to heavy topics. That holds true for Palestinian-American comedian Sammy Obeid, who has taken to the stage to spotlight the pain of the war in Gaza. Amna Nawaz has the story for our Arts and Culture series, Canvas.
Comedian Sammy Obeid has built his career tackling the tough stuff, from politics to war.
The night that Israel attacked Iran, there was a spike in pizza sales right next to the Pentagon.
The former high school math teacher even jokes about that.
America's ranked 33rd in math in the world. Japan had to count that for us. It's pretty bad.
I think once I started doing math jokes, it just seemed like I could pretty much make any painful subject very funny. And so I've never had a problem with that.
At Mama Aisha's, a Palestinian restaurant in Washington, D.C., Obeid said his work is often fueled by what others aren't saying or won't say.
There is certainly a void in stand-up on certain topics, specifically Palestine. The fact that void is there is very motivating for me to be like, oh, if nobody's talking about it, I will. And I feel.
So what I'll say is that the free speech aspect, or is saying what other people aren't willing to say, I would say that that's kind of leaning more TI, but like self above tribe and thinking, it's about talking and saying things. And yeah, I know here on the slide I have sleepover play. That's part of it, but I think this aspect is more TI.
That way about any subject that people don't really touch.
The Palestinian-American comedian grew up in Northern California, where his interest in politics took root.
I love being Palestinian because it's the one identity you bring up and it's instantly controversial.
Growing up, I kind of I had to learn gradually that I was Palestinian because.
What do you mean?
Like, I don't think I asked what ethnicity I was to my parents until I was maybe like 10 or 11. My parents started inviting me to like pro-Palestine protests and vigils. So I became more aware of it in my 20s. And then I started stand-up. And at that point, it was already like kind of my identity.
He was drawn to the voices willing to lean into the uncomfortable.
I think the first one that really inspired me was Chris Rock. I watched a special of his when I was 15. And this is when I became tangentially aware of politics.
So when you white, the sky's the limit. When you black, the limit's the sky.
Just learning about what politics were and like what was going on in the world, and then seeing him make it funny, I was like, whoa, that's so cool.
Yeah, so what this does is like, Chris Rock is SEFE, he's an ESTP. So it's interesting to see like a person who's potentially the type opposite, Sammy, is inspired by Chris Rock. And it's cool to see that, the opposites need each other. And, we'll see a little bit more about Sammy, but let's move on to the next clip so we're not narrowing down too fast here. Here in this clip, we're going to be looking at some process talk. So Sammy's going to talk to this other comedian who's more like a new comedian, who just started, doing comedy, but Sammy is sharing some insights about, how he's gained success and how he's mastering his skills. So this is good to see. Yep.
So where did the idea, because when we met, you already had a camera person with you?
Yeah,
Like
my friend Chai was helping shoot my shows that night. Yeah.
Yeah. When did you start thinking that you have to start taping your sets and then posting it on Instagram and TikToks and whatnot?
Probably about, 2022 now? Probably, I really started doing that at the end of 2019.
It's pretty early.
So yeah, like a little bit before the pandemic started, because at that point I already started to notice a lot of people doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot. There was a handful of people.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Schulz, notably, was one of the first people.
Yeah.
And Neil Nanda was doing it, and there was a couple other people who were doing it.
Yeah, so I'll just mention that he's already mentioned friends and learning from other people. So I'm just going to say from a social type perspective, there is some friend stuff going on here where he has a friend helping him and he's also learning from others, where the flex people are a little bit more hesitant to learn from other people. Like flex people generally feel like they have everything figured out or they know what they're doing
on a regular basis. Of course, stand-up videos on YouTube, on Facebook, people have been doing that for a long time. But the people who like were doing it more religiously on Instagram, I noticed that. And so at the end of 2019, I started filming more stuff. Beginning of 2020, I just went full on, started posting every day on Instagram, every day on TikTok. I was an early adopter on TikTok. I joined it back when it was Musical.ly, but I never really posted on it until early 2020. So that's when I was like, I'm going to commit to the social media thing. I'm going to start posting basically like every day if I can, and started filming as many sets as I could. And then the pandemic happened. So that was that put like a year delay on that whole thing because I was doing Zoom stuff for a while I was recording the Zoom and posting it, but
I saw one of those.
Yeah, the quality on Zoom was just not good, and none of those videos really got shared. So, so basically, I would say March 2020, like I was filming stuff every day, and then there was this big gap where I wasn't doing gigs again till like late 2020, but like sparingly. But end of 2020, I filmed a bunch of outdoor sets, and I would post, whenever I could.
Not a lot of comics post their jokes on social media.
Yeah.
And the ones who do, they don't do it in the number that you do.
Right. Right.
What did you find from?
Yeah, so he's like pretty generous with how much he posts, but it's more like he's keeping up a lot of activity. And I mean, it gets into a pretty nerdy video, so I guess that's another point for NT, but we don't have to get into that. We'll move on to the next one, but basically he's going to get into NT at that point. But yeah, in this clip, we're going to see some more NT probably. And yeah, we're not going to be starving for that because the thing is, the type, it comes out all the time. So you're not going to be able to run from it. And Sammy has NT, and then he ends up talking about Hooters here and making some jokes that are, the thing is, when you have TI, you're going to be offending the FE appropriate spectrum of what is appropriate to say. So he's going to be talking about Hooters and things and kind of stretching what he's saying in order to, match the culture. Anyway, I'll let him talk, but the idea is that he has NI and TI, so that would mean that he has demon FE, so he'll be challenging the FE appropriateness.
You can do 5 years without fasting. Americans are like, I'll try it out. You have to be honest. We don't have values in this country. There are no shared values, and so whenever this conversation comes up, people they only have one single argument. They're like, Sharia law. And all women are going to have to cover up because in America, we like our women to show skin. Okay, so American values is Hooters, basically. That's what it comes down to. We just want to be able to have Hooters in America, right? Okay, and yeah, Hooters, fun time. Who hasn't had a great time at Hooters aside from most of this crowd? Who hasn't had a fun time at Hooters? Okay, I look like I work there. Who hasn't? I look like I'm the manager of Hooters. These ladies are trying their hardest today, okay? Give them a break. But hear me out. How about we just try one Sharia law Hooters? Let's just try one. Just one Sharia law Hooters. Just one. You'll only see eyes. It'll be called peepers. Yes. Come on down to peepers, okay? You'll have a newfound respect for eyes after you come to peepers. Yeah. Come for the eyes, stay for the halal burgers. You love it. A lot of lamb and goat, That's always where the conversation goes. And it's ridiculous. You can't just let people continue doing this because they're making Islamophobia just so like casual and normal. And I don't even like using the term Islamophobia because it's like it's inaccurate and it's like anti-Muslim terrorism. Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, so anyway, moving on. But yeah, basically that previous clip was getting into more NT, and it's it's a little too NT to make it entertaining. But you could see the TI, like how he's kind of challenging the FE standards and kind of saying how people don't have values, and he's just asserting his TI truth and all that. And he's pointing out the NI patterns and things. But yeah, it's cool to see. So that much I can see. I think the hard part with typing Sammy is the rest of it. Like, we can get the functions down pretty good. I'm gonna have honestly a really hard time with consume versus blast and some other aspects, like even actually observer decider. So in the next clip, we're actually going to look at that a little bit. We're going to look at, is Sammy an observer or is he a decider? Is it NITI or TINI? And let's just do our best to see how we can see those patterns with Sammy.
Makes for the best comedy. It really, generally is a good driver for what your material is. Also, when you keep things personal, it makes it more about you, and people seem to like relate to that a bit more. So I definitely use that, my personal point of view and my personal pain into the comedy. People could see it. People watch my videos, they'd be like, "Are you okay?" I'd be like, "No, I'm not okay. Nobody should be okay right now." I try to express how I'm feeling. Although, people do tell me I'm very like cold and calculated. That's like, I'm a math guy. So if I don't read as emotional to you sometimes, like, I get it, but yeah, no, it definitely comes from my pain.
And you talked about personal. I mean, some of the clips I saw of yours before October 7th.
Yeah.
Let's play the one of you talking about Bethlehem with a young family member.
Yeah.
My dad was born a few hours out of Jerusalem. My mom was born in Utah. So both places where Jesus got resurrected. Now, my great-grandma was born in Bethlehem. And I tell people this, they're like, "Oh, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's the one." She was Amish. She grew up in the Holy Land next to Scranton. She knew the three wise men from Dunder Mifflin. Come on! The birthplace of our Savior, Bethlehem, PA. No, everybody knows Bethlehem, birthplace of Jesus, the Savior of most people in this country. Yet if you ask most people in this country to point it out on a map, they're pointing to Pennsylvania. That's a problem. But it's not our fault. It's a very difficult geopolitical question. I had to look it up just for this joke. Yeah. My niece asked me over Christmas. My niece is 5 years old. She said, "Where's Jesus from?" I was like, "Bethlehem." Nailed it. Right? She was like, "Where's Bethlehem?" I was like, "Oh, shit. Here we go." I got to give her the simplest answer you can, a 5-year-old, but I also got to keep it real, So I was like, okay. Well, technically Bethlehem is in Palestine. But America, we don't recognize Palestine as a country. So technically it's in the Palestinian territories, specifically the West Bank, not the Gaza Strip. It was part of Israel, but they handed it over to the Palestinian National Authority in 1995 under the interim agreement of Sub.5, Section 2 of the UN resolution at the Oslo Accords. Thanks, Bill Clinton. This was pre-Monica, never mind. Of course, before that, it was British Mandate Palestine, and before that, the Ottoman Empire, and before that, a conquest during the Crusades, and before that, another conquest, and before that, another conquest, before that, another conquest.
Okay, so let me just chime in here with, this is very, like, ST humor in that sense. So, like, I'm trying to decide if he's an INFJ or an ISTP, an ISTP jumper. Yeah, and it feels very ST, the kind of humor he has here, so... So I'm leaning towards decider. And even the previous section of the clip where he's talking about his pain and his emotions, and he doesn't read as an emotional person. Typically, I feel like deciders, with thinking at the top, are going to read as less emotional than if you have T and F in the middle. So, but we'll just let the clip finish in another minute.
Times back then, people were crazy. Before that, the Roman Empire, because it was a law. Before that, Judea. Shout out to my Zionists. Before that, the Canaanites. Yes, we Canaanites is what they did not say. I made that up. Before that, random tribes from Africa. Black Lives Matter. And before that, it was the dinosaurs, if you believe in those. Did they teach you those? And of course, before all of that, it was just lots and lots and lots of rocks, which, as we know, belong to the Palestinians.
Now, one could argue that it still is in Israel, technically, because Israel technically occupies the West Bank. But of course, Israel would say that's not the case, because that's illegal under international law, under many, many counts. Don't tell the UN. JK, they already know. Oh my God, it's a mess. Everybody knows. Literally everybody knows, except most of the people in the country that could actually vote to stop it. God bless Pennsylvania. Merry Christmas. And that was the answer that I gave her in about 90 seconds flat, if you ever wanted to know where Bethlehem is. And I think she liked it, because she immediately responded with, is Santa Claus real? I said 100% Santa Claus is real. We definitely recognize Santa Claus. She's like, what are you getting me for Christmas? I said, I gave you the gift of Palestine. What more do you want? Like, people usually pay to see my shows. I gave it to you free of charge. She was like, free Palestine? I was like, exactly.
That was all true, by the way.
That was all true. The entire story,
and the history of Bethlehem. Yeah.
No, the history of Bethlehem. I mean, that's powerful. So that's pre-October 7th. That clip we played.
Yeah.
Post October 7th, how does your material change?
You know, on the October 7th attack, it was not an easy day to just be like, hey guys, here's my my.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a challenge to do comedy about political topics, and then he talks about that. But we got what we needed in terms of looking at decider versus observer. You know, he is able to, talk about his TI things, and then just, it's very ST humor. It's a little bit, if he was NI over TI, and that is something I am struggling to see with him, is he would probably be not lying more, but he would be leaning on analogies a lot more. But he is using quite a bit of ST. Now, it could be because he has double masculine ST. But anyway, we're just guessing at the end of the day, and it's looking a little bit more like decider over observer, which is honestly one of the harder coins for me to see here. So narrowing down the type, let's do it. So the first thing I'm seeing is intuition and thinker, so NT. And then I'm also seeing DI, like even though he's very friendly, he's self above tribe in the sense that he's going on his own perspective. And he has an OI process. You can easily find him kind of looking at the NI patterns, how they compound on each other. And then also, kind of the callback in comedy, that's something to observe, is people like, Jerry Seinfeld or Sammy here, or, Dave Chappelle. The people who have the NI, they like to do the callback to the previous, joke, and they tie everything together. And, yeah, it could be pretty funny. I mean, it's not fun to explain comedy, but there's a whole method to the madness. But yeah, that's the first narrow down, is that it's NI and TI, and this is honestly all I'm really comfortable with, all I'm really confident in. The rest of whatever I'm gonna guess is quite random. I am seeing MF, so audio over visual. Now it could be FF, but really it's I'm seeing MF. But the next narrow down, I'm seeing that Sammy is probably info dominant. I'm guessing play last, because there's too many similarities with, I don't have that much experience with play last people, but there is a certain someone in the community that I'll mention later. But yeah, the play last is something that I'm seeing that he's, for example, one of the things he did was he did 1,000 nights of comedy, and that sounds a lot like Mr. Beast. And Mr. Beast is play last, ENFP, and he does like these crazy challenges where he does a high number of things that are very challenging just because of the sheer number of it. So I feel like that's a play last thing. Now that's there are a number of other techniques to use, but we only have so much time. But yeah, so I think some kind of play last. Now, is it decider or observer? I don't know, but I'm leaning a little bit towards decider, TI-NI. And so looking at the final guess, so I'm not sure between blast and consume. I'm just putting that out there. We'll see in the next, in 2 weeks, if I revise the type at all. But my final guess for now and for today is TI-NI audio, sleep, consume, blast, play last, number 4. And it might remind you of someone in our community in the objective personality world. We have Uzair. Now, Uzair is an actual person of this type, ISTP Jumper. Now, Sammy, he might be in a, NITI, I don't know. He might be sleep blast, I don't know. but I'm pretty sure Sammy is at least sleep first, and Uzair is a real representative of this ISTP jumper person, and yeah, it's cool. His videos are cool. I'm gonna link it at some point in the description, but yeah, so shout out to Uzair. He's a good representative of this type and helped me learn about Play Last. But yeah, his videos are really cool, so check it out. But yeah, so anyway, my final guess for Sammy is MFTINI, sleep, consume, blast, Play Last. That's one of the most introverted types, and you can kind of even see it in like the body frame, the body language, the way he approaches his comedy, the way he approaches, his career. It's very focused. It's, refining a process over and over again. And he is telling his TI truth, whether he has TI first or second, it's somewhere in there. He's telling his TI truths and he's looking at the NI patterns. So that much I'm feeling confident on. And I'm actually wearing this shirt here that says your pal. But anyway, I think it's hard to see. But yeah, it's actually from his show. He did some, I'm in New York, and he came to New York at some point and did a show, and I got the shirt. But yeah, it's, he's a real number 4. I'm a number 1, so I don't have the friends, but I could still be your pal. It's just going to be a lot more awkward. But yeah, anyway, in 2 weeks, we're going to be typing somebody else, and we're going to type someone who is a Palestinian American. His name is Hamza Sada, and he is a super young dude. So Sammy is actually 40, even though he looks super young. But Hamza is in his 20s, but he has millions of subscribers, and he's a content creator. But he had to put a lot of his career stuff on pause in order to, address some of these issues about Palestine. And he has a lot of potential, and he's a good content creator. And yeah, he has, he goes viral with some of his stuff, and he's on TikTok. So, it's interesting to see someone, a young person with a lot of potential, kind of put their life on hold in order to address politics, where he's not actually someone who's that interested, who would be that interested in talking about politics. He has a lot of other things he wants to do with his life. Like, I think he's aspiring to be an actor. But yeah, it's a tough situation for a lot of people of this type of background, that they have to put their life on pause in order to deal with some crazy stuff. And then after typing Hamza in 2 weeks, we're going to be typing Jill Stein in 4 weeks. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. There's some images. I couldn't find some good images of Hamza, but we got what we got. And yeah, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Stay tuned. And yeah, enjoy your day. Take care.